Welcome to Brewcast. We have a video that you sent about hemp. This is going to be, I'm going to let you kind of take this one. So you go and take control. You let me know when you want me to play, and you can share with the world what you think. We'll give it a couple minutes, and then we'll get out of here. Make this a nice, sweet one.
Yeah, the basically what has happened is part of uh, the bill that was passed finally to reopen up the government for the funding. There was a after provision that was added in that essentially closes the loophole for people to grow hemp inside the United States. It doesn't go into immediate effect. I don't remember. I think I was seeing it's like maybe after January 1st it will, or maybe January 1st the year after it will. But the point of it is that it closes the hemp. It makes anything CBD oil or anything else derived illegal up to a certain amount, and they also have a instead of having like a serving size of a certain amount of CBD oil that's allowed, it's like per container. So it doesn't matter if it's the size of a tincture bottle or a gallon. It cannot have more than that amount content by volume of the container, which basically is just a way to uh, completely circumvent any kind of transportation. So
I see.
this is causing a lot of problems because there are a large amount of people, including disabled veterans, who rely on hemp, marijuana, weed, whatever, to, have non-pharmaceutical pills in order to fight conditions. I am not one of them. I was in the past, tried it, but I am one of those people who has after a certain period of time, the exact reverse effects of what most people would get the benefits from, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is that I saw this coming a long time ago. And I didn't know when it was going to happen. I was hoping that they would just allow or decriminalize it, but I didn't think they ever really would, honestly. But by closing this loophole, they have basically made it so the pharmaceutical companies are going to be making more money now because in order to like pain management, people that were using marijuana for pain management, CBD oil for pain management, they now have to return to the pharmaceuticals, which just happens to coincide after the all these other like pharmaceutical companies finally caved and are now offering lower prescription costs for Americans, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
And I suspect that this was part of the deal.
Mm.
So,
So you're saying that they're banning hemp? So well, hold on. They're banning hemp. Are they also banning marijuana?
yes.
So federal ban on marijuana was part of the bill
Mm,
package,
yes.
and that was to reopen the government. Wow. So you're saying all of the dispensaries across the United States are going to go out of business?
Essentially, yes. All the growers, all everything. Like Kentucky was a state, which is the reason why Ron Paul was so against it. Is a state that has a lot of a significant majority, not majority, but significant amount of his constituency grows marijuana, and this is going to wreck the economy there. And whether or not Ron Paul agrees with it personally himself or not, he doesn't care. It's his constituency, and it infects his tax base. So he came out against it, but it passed, and it passed with it was like 76 to 26 or something like that, 24 or something like that. So it was overwhelmingly agreed upon, which raises a lot of questions too, considering that a lot of the Democrats have always been pushing for the legalization of marijuana and hemp
Mm-hmm. All of the,
across the board.
yeah, you say Denver, California. Those were the first
Hmm.
two big ones.
Yeah, and it's also like medical marijuana and everything else that's been passed, like in Oklahoma and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just raising a lot of questions on how a lot of avenues, and I don't know, avenues is the right word, but a lot of beliefs or previous actions by these legislators and commitments and everything else that they have made are shifting. Everything is shifting, even outside this current debate with the hemp.
Yeah, but if they ban this, all you're gonna do is increase the illegal trafficking of it. All you're gonna do is like have people grow it and like themselves. You're
Yeah,
gonna create organized crime as a result of this.
yes. But again, I think it is the part of the package or part of the deal that was made by the pharmaceutical companies and the government to lower the prescription costs. We will, at least in the interim, ban hemp. But this also prevents a lot of other products on the market as well, including like hempcrete. So concrete made with hemp,
Mm.
which is actually stronger than concrete, the traditional concrete that we use. And if it was to be built and used for housing, it's more structurally sound. It's less prone to cracking. It's more easily repairable. Like across the board, it would be better if we started constructing homes out of hempcrete. So there's a lot of thought there that they are trying to stop that from occurring. There's also a lot of thoughts about how by banning hemp, you no longer have access to the hemp plastic. So it would, um, like, I don't know why they would be against that because it's fairly cheap. But
Mhm.
anywho, I could talk about that for days. But the big thing was just the fact that the pharmaceutical companies, yeah,
So you think the pharmaceutical companies was so this video made you think about the pharmaceutical companies connection. What do you think
yes.
about the content of the video itself and the thing that the idea that he presents? I know we haven't done that yet. Do you think you want to play it?
Yeah, go ahead and play it to
Okay.
one refresh my memory 100% because I was focusing on the pharmaceutical side of it.
Okay.
So I think I just stumbled upon something huge. You're going to want to hear this. And I haven't heard anyone talking about it. So I was thinking last night, what are we going to do with all this trash? It's toxic, it's plastics, it's leaching into the groundwater. What are we going to do about it? And then I thought, well, duh, we just need to stop producing it and use a different material. And then it hit me. Hemp isn't illegal anymore, so why aren't they using hemp to make plastics and whatnot, which they're able to do? And it's not because of big oil. The reason they're not using hemp to replace the entire packaging, plastic, all these materials, this whole industry that it would replace, is because
Oh, the
hemp
carbon.
is
Yeah.
said to absorb a lot of carbon.
Yep.
Yeah. Which would go against the climate narrative. But that's already collapsing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had seen this a year ago, or thought about this a year ago, then yeah, I would have, thought more along the lines of they were just trying that they're not allowing hemp because,
I mean,
it absorbs the
even
carbon.
before
But
last week, we had last week where Bill Gates, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where Bill Gates no longer said that we're not going to die due to the climate crisis.
yeah,
I would have given it a lot more weight before then, but I'm really glad that you like totally went with like the pharma concept. That was one that I hadn't even considered. So wow, good job.
yeah. But I mean, it does hold credence to the fact that maybe that's the reason why they don't allow it. But it doesn't. It's not why it was originally banned to begin with. But it doesn't mean that
Do
it
you
couldn't
know
be the
why it
reason
was
why they continue to.
originally banned?
Yes.
I was told a story. I don't know if my story is real or not, but you tell me what you have, and I'll tell you if mine matches.
Well, if it does it have to do with the corticator or the decorticator?
No, it has to do with nylon.
Okay, so it may actually be a parallel story. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure the one you're talking about. But supposedly what had happened was um, it was around like the 1910, 20, 30, something like that. There was an individual, I forget his name. He was a guy who owned a lot of newspapers. And he had spent all this money on these newfangled things called printing presses in order to create these, a significant amount of newspapers. And they were all based on wood. And they then realized that they could begin to make paper out of hemp. and which was extremely durable. So he had to create a way to demonize hemp because he had already spent all this money on newspaper, like wood, wood paper. So he created the marijuana thought. He then demonized it, and he lobbied, or through various things, lobbied to have it made illegal, and that's basically how it became illegal. Um, it was because of basically the greed of a guy who owned a bunch of newspapers. That was one story that I heard. But they kept it illegal because in the 50s and the 60s, they began to see the medical properties of it, which um, that is when the pharmaceutical industry was really starting to take hold. And they continued to, and they made it like the Schedule 1 or whatever, whenever they did that, in order to keep it as under control as much as possible. Because it does directly treat or reduce symptoms of a lot of what the pharmaceutical company had spent a lot of money on to create the synthetic versions of. So,
You give me an idea. Maybe I'll see if I can find a dispensary or something near here, or maybe I know somebody. See how it's affecting them. See if they know. I mean, I'm sure they would know. It's their entire business. But I mean,
yeah.
that seems like that is going to get so much blowback because states make a ton of money from it. A ton of money.
Yeah. There's also the problem that this single act may actually screw the Republicans in the midterms.
Absolutely.
Then again, if since it is considered, illegal federally or whatever else, there's still a lot of companies, especially if they hold government contracts, who make who have like they you can't have cannabis in your system or hemp, whatever, in your system if you're working for these companies with government contracts. But then again, the private companies, when that doesn't really apply to,
Mm-hmm.
but they could still have the policies or whatnot. So the only people that this would really affect are those who really don't have jobs. So is it really going to affect the right that much? Um, However, it still does. Yeah, it probably will still have some kind of detrimental effect, but probably not as much as a lot of people are saying.
Well, I guess what the prohibition of something usually just causes its own problems. But what happens if
Hmm.
a lot of people would not would use it for recreationally and allow it to become a vice, right? Or an addiction.
Yeah.
We'll just say a vice to not draw too many lines. But if you take that away, what are they going to replace that with?
Yeah, harder substances or go back to the pharmaceutical industry. Like, I do know someone who uses it habitually because, of various reasons. I won't even, go to beyond that. And the fact that it is now becoming significantly more difficult for that individual to get his medicine, that it is going to cause problems for him. But I mean, I just don't know what's going to happen. It, it's also keep in mind too that it could also be, um, how do I say, undone. Something could happen in the meantime. States could get together and just say we're not going to enforce this still.
Well, I mean, even if it's
But
illegal on the federal level, states could still have their own. It could still be fine in the state. Because I mean, it was like that before, right? Whenever they were like working on like bringing it out in California and Denver, like, well, it's illegal federally, but in California, if you have a card, it's fine.
I think that there was wording in the bill that closed that loophole.
Interesting.
I can't speak to it 100%, but yeah, but there was from things that I was seeing, the people who have read through it and who own dispensaries. I've seen multiple videos of people talking about it that the loophole is closed. I don't recall them going deep into it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it seems real. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense from where it's coming from. Like a lot of the stuff is lining up, and I think we're onto something with the pieces that we keep stumbling into. So,
hmm
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But if you guys are listening, be sure to leave a like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you guys for checking in with us.